Good afternoon, students. So today the GATE session is on the subject theory of machines, which is AICT sponsored Prerna Center for SC/ST student at VPKBIT Baramati. And today's session will be on gear and gear trains. So this is session number 3. In previous two sessions, we have done for session number 1, we have done with fundamentals of mechanisms and velocity analysis by ICR method. In session 2, we have done with velocity and acceleration analysis by using ICR method and relative velocity and acceleration method. So in today's session, let us start with gear and gear trains. So in gear and gear trains, let us go with the basic definition and concepts related to the gear, the classification of gears, and then we will solve one or two examples of gear, and then we will move to the gear train. So within quickly, let's revise about the details and concepts of gears. So gears are used to transmit the motion from one shaft to the another shaft, and they transmit the motion by using the direct contact. So this figure shows the gears which don't, that is the initial phase of the gears when the tooth are not cut on it. So these are called as a frictionless surfaces which are having the tangential contact with each other, and with the relative sliding or rolling motion in between them, they used to transmit the motion. So here we can see a common point of contact is P, then the velocity is equal to omega 1 R1 equal to omega 2 R2. So this is the basic relation which is used every time for the gears or studying the fundamental relations of the gear. So if you substitute omega by n, then you will get n1 R1 equal to n2 R2. So omega 1 by omega 2 is equal to n1 by n2 is equal to R2 upon R1. So using this relation, many of the time we can find out the speed and diameter of input and output gears. Okay, so it shows that it is in the inverse relation. So as radius increases, the speed decreases. So these are the toothless, frictionless cylinder with which we can transmit the motion. But as at higher velocities, there are the possibilities of the slips, and this doesn't hold good for higher velocities. So then what happens? We have cut the tooth on these surfaces, and that tooth will engage with each other. Tooth surfaces gets engaged with each other, and there will not be slip at higher velocities. So that is the call it as a gears. So it holds good. This relation holds good for gears as well. That is n1 upon n2 is equal to r2 upon r1. So this is just the basic from where the gears arises. So this shows that the smaller will have the higher velocity. The radius with smaller disc will have the higher velocity, and radius with higher means more maximum diameter will have the lower velocity in the combination. So usually gears are used for reduction purpose. Okay, always, most of the times they are used for reduction purpose. Means input speed is more than the output speed. Actually, why we use gears in automobiles? So basically they are used in automobiles, but also they are used in some machines as well. What is the need of using the gear is that you have some input speed, and the output speed requirement is different than the input speed. So whenever you want output speed in different range or at different speed rather than the input speed, you go for the gear. If you go for belt drives and rope drives, so they will transmit the same speed as of the input speed. If you consider no losses between the friction. But gear provides you the facility to have the different speed combinations, different speeds rather than the input speed. And in vehicle, there are use of gear boxes and gear train. So it gives us the facility to get different set of output speed for one particular input speed. So engine speed will remain same, but by using the different types of the gears, you can get the different speeds at output. So n1 upon n2 equal to r2 upon r1. From this, 1 stands for pinion and 2 stands for gear. Why it is so? Because This is general assumption. 99% it holds good that we use gears for the speed reduction purpose. Means your input speed will be more and your output speed will be less. Okay, you will be reducing the speeds. So one is the for the disc or the gear which has less radius, and pinion is called as a input gear, and as we use the gear pair for the reduction purpose, pinion will be the input gear or driving, and gear, this is called, second is called as a gear, so it is driven. So its diameter will be the larger and its speed will be the less. So one will be the, one stands for pinion. So always whatever the formula you will be using, you will follow the same notation. One stands for gear, one stands for pinion, two stands for gear. And pinion will have the less diameter or less radius with higher speed, and gear will have the higher diameter or higher radius with lower speed. Fine. So always keep this mind. Then we will go for the classification of the gears. So gears are classified depending upon the relative positions on the shaft axis. So shaft axis, parallel axis shaft, intersecting axis shaft, and skew shaft. So see, gate point of view, what is expected is that they can be asked you the applications of the gear, or they can ask you the types of the gears for in the theory question. So how they will ask, like they can ask you that parallel axis shaft, spur gear, helical gear, rack and pinion gear. So when the shaft axes are parallel, you can either go for spur gear, helical gear, or rack and pinion. Rack and pinion means rack is straight gear and pinion is the circular. So circulatory motion is converted into the reciprocatory motion. Okay, intersecting shaft, straight bevel gear, spiral bevel gear, and zero bevel gear. And for skew shaft means non-parallel, non-intersecting shaft, they will be spiral and worm beam. So right now you know this classification. Just briefly we are refreshing this. You know how the spur gears look. You know how the helical gears look. Both are used for the parallel axis only. But for in case of the helical gear, tooths are inclined at a shaft axis. Right? Can someone tell me what is the difference between helical and spur gear?
मॅम ते टीथ जे असतात ते ऍक्सिसला पॅरलल असतात स्पर
Spur
गिअर
gear
मध्ये,
मध्ये.
आणि हेलिकलला इन्क्लाइंड असतात.
Yes. And what about the efficiency?
हेलिकलची जास्त आहे.
Helical gear is having more efficiency than the spur gear, because what happens in case of the spur gear have direct contact, means plane to plane contact. Okay, but for helical gears, there is a gradual contact, so friction is less. The teeth are come in contact gradually, so friction is less in case of the helical gear. So efficiency
नॉईज
of helical gear is more as compared to the spur gear. Yes, yes.
नॉईज पण कमी येतो ना हेलिकल मध्ये.
That's yes. So because of the gradual contact, noise is also less in case of the helical gear. Okay, noise is also less. So, but both are used for the shaft axis parallel. So, actually, what is required from you, gate point of view, while studying the gate examination preparation, you should know the applications of all. You can have a theory questions for the application of this. So I have just listed some applications over here. Okay, like spur gears are used in machine tool gearboxes, automobile gearboxes, watches. Helical gears are used in machine tool gearbox, high-speed automobile gearbox, steam and gas turbines. So see here, helical gear are used at higher velocities applications. Okay, rack and pinion is used in lathe machine. So basically, when you want to convert rotary motion into the reciprocatory motion, rack and pinion gear arrangement is used. Okay, then double helical gears are used when
लेथ
at
मशीन
high
मध्ये
speed
कशी
applications. Yes.
लेथ मशीन मध्ये कशी यूज करतात रॅक अँड पिन?
See, have you done machining operation on lathe? बघितलंय मशीनिंग ऑपरेशन लेथचं?
हो मॅम
फीडिंग जे
केले.
करतो आपण, हा
हो मॅम
काय म्हणलं म्हणता? हा, सो
बघितले.
फीडिंग करताना येस,
परफॉर्म केलेत मॅम, कारण की लीड वापरतात ना.
हा, तो जो लीड स्क्रू असतो ना, लीड स्क्रू असतो ना त्याच्यातला रोटरी मोशन, म्हणजे रॅक अँड पिनियन म्हणजे काय, तो रोटरी मोशन देणार आहे आणि तुला त्याच्यातली रेसिप्रोकेटिंग मोशन भेटणार आहे. So, while giving the feed, spindle is moving in the rotary motion, but your feed or the tool you are moving, that is having the translatory or linear motion. So there means you provide the speed by rotating the spindle. Okay, but output you are getting translatory motion because your tool is moving translatory. So there that rotary motion gets converted into the reciprocatory motion. Okay, I will give you the videos later on, huh? So that it will be more clear to you while providing the study material. Also, I'll give you some videos also. At that time, it will be more clear to you when you look at the videos. Okay, but what is the task for you people by preparing the notes? List down the applications. Okay, list, you can add some other applications to this list also, because it is expected that you can have a theory question on this, that bevel gears are used in following applications, or worm and worm wheel gear is used in following application. So see, worm and worm wheel is used in steering mechanism, hoisting devices, cranes, lifts, etc. So worm and worm wheel and rack and pinion, function wise they are same. They convert rotary motion into the reciprocating motion. Worm and worm wheel is also same, just like a rack and pinion. But in case of rack and pinion, tooth are straight cut, and in worm and worm wheel they are cut helical at helic axis, or you can say simply they are helical gears. That rotary gear is a helical gear. So teeth are having the axis at the shaft angle. Okay, so while preparing the notes, just add, I'll give you this as well. Also add some application to this. Okay, now we'll just briefly revise the gear tooth terminology. So what is a pitch cylinder? So pitch cylinder is the diameter of this cylinder, this one. Means if you want to transmit the same power as that of the gear, but if you remove the teeth, then what diameter you need of that imaginary friction cylinder, that is the pitch cylinder. So all the formulas, they are derived in terms of pitch cylinder only, diameter of pitch cylinder. म्हणजे तुम्ही फॉर्म्युला मध्ये जे डी बाय डी और आर जे घेणार आहे ते सगळे पिच सर्कल डायमीटर्स असणार आहेत. दे आर नॉट द डायमीटर ऑफ द टूथ. टूथचं डायमीटर इनर किंवा आउटर डायमीटर असणार नाही ते टूथचं. लक्षात घ्या, ही गिअर टूथ टर्मिनॉलॉजीची डायग्राम आहे. आय जस्ट शो यू हियर. See, this is a gear tooth terminology. So here in between there is a pitch circle diameter. हा टॉप लाईन आहे गिअरचा आणि हा बॉटम लाईन आहे गिअरचा. सो हे दोघांचं मीन नाहीये. This is not the mean of addendum circle and dedendum circle. It is the diameter of the imaginary frictionless cylinder. Instead of using the gears, if you go for the imaginary frictionless cylinder, that diameter is called as a pitch circle. So while deriving all the formulas of the gears, this pitch circle diameter is used. Fine. When pitch diameter is the diameter of that same pitch cylinder, pitch surface is the surface of the pitch cylinder. This is all imaginary. Okay, you will not be able to locate it on the gears actually. But all the derivations have carried out with respect to this pitch circle diameters only. All the formula will be with respect to pitch circle diameter. म्हणजे आता इथे बघा हे सर्क्युलर पिचचा जो फॉर्म्युला आहे P इज इक्वल टू पाय डी बाय टी, त्यातला हा डी जो आहे तो पिच सर्कल डायमीटर आहे. Okay, what is the pitch point? So the point of contact of the two pitch cylinders or two mating gears, जिथे दोन mating gears चे pitch circles contact होतात, that is the pitch point. Now this is the pinion. I told you earlier that pinion is the smaller, usually that is a driving gear. So जेव्हा जेव्हा क्वेश्चन मध्ये असं म्हणणार आहे की pinion rotates with 300 rpm or likewise, so always remember it is the driving member and you have to give notation 1 for pinion and 2 for gear, and the greater is the gear and which is usually the driven member, because 99.99% gears are used for speed reduction. Fine. हे क्लियर आहे ना? पिनियन आणि गियर. पिनियन कुणाला म्हणायचं आणि गियर कुणाला म्हणायचं, बिकॉज while solving the numericals you need to write down the given things and accordingly you have to substitute in the formulas. Okay, then circular pitch. So what is the circular pitch? So it is the distance measured along the circumference of the pitch circle from the corresponding points on the corresponding tooth. Okay, what is the diametral pitch? So diametral pitch is the capital T by capital D. So हे छोटे छोटे फॉर्म्युले सगळे जे आहेत ते तुम्हाला न्यूमेरिकल एक्झाम्पल सॉल्व्ह करताना लागतील. मे बी 1 मार्क क्वेश्चन सुद्धा असू शकतो की डाटा दिला असेल, फाइंड आउट द डायमेट्रल पिच or find out the circular pitch likewise. Then next is the module. So what is the module? Module is the ratio of pitch diameter to the number of teeth. M is equal to D by T. So always remember small d stands for diameter of pinion, capital D stands for diameter of gear, small t stands for teeth of pinion, capital T stands for teeth of gear. So M is equal to D by T. So it is necessary condition that module of pinion and module of gear must be same. If their module is not same, then power will not be transmitted. So this is your law of gearing as well. So what the law of gearing says, that common normal passing through point of contact must pass through the pitch point, and it should divide that into the constant velocity ratio. So if d by t is not equal to d by t, small d by t is not equal to capital D by t, then the gear will not transmit the power, because in that case there will not be a common normal passing through the contact point. So law of gearing will not be satisfied. And remember these formulas which you need for numerical solving. Okay, and if you substitute this into the equation, pitch is equal to pi d by t, and d by t is module, so pitch is equal to pi into m. So remember, module of pinion will be equal to module of gear. Okay, now gear ratio. So again there is little bit confusion between the term gear ratio and velocity ratio. Okay, so always remember one thing, most of the books follows the different notations. So do remember one thing, gear ratio is the ratio of number of teeth on gear upon number of teeth of pinion, and as we consider as gear is a larger one, this G should be greater than 1 always. Okay, G should be greater than 1 always. And velocity ratio is the reciprocal of G. Okay, so in the question, if they mention you that velocity ratio is equal to 3, suppose, then also you have to consider it as a G only. Actually, velocity ratio is the reciprocal of gear ratio. Velocity ratio is the reciprocal of gear ratio. Okay, but if if they say G is equal to 2, it means velocity ratio is 1 by 2. But some of the books follows, or some of the authors follows that uh, G is equal to velocity ratio, sum follows. G is reciprocal of velocity ratio. So whatever the formula, it doesn't matter. It depends on the relations which you are using to solving the equations. Okay, so whatever the formula relations we are using, just keep in mind that we will never substitute velocity ratio. कुठल्याच फॉर्म्युलामध्ये आपण वेलोसिटी रेशो अशी टर्म सबस्टिट्यूट करत नाही, आपण जी हीच टर्म सबस्टिट्यूट करतो नेहमी. तर जी नेहमी ग्रेटर दॅन 1 पाहिजे. जी मस्ट बी ग्रेटर दॅन 1 ऑलवेज. क्लिअर? हे सगळं पीडीएफ मी तुम्हाला सेंड करणार आहे. हे लिस्ट ऑफ फॉर्म्युले तुम्हाला लागणार आहेत गिअर्ससाठी while solving the numericals on gears. Then addendum circle. Addendum circle is the circle passing through the tips of the tip. So here I can show you. This is the addendum circle. This is the addendum circle. This is the dedendum circle. Okay. So addendum circle, addendum portion, dedendum portion. That is the portion of the teeth above pith circle is addendum, portion of the teeth below teeth circle is the dedendum. Then clearance, that is the radial difference between addendum and dedendum of a tooth. Okay. Then full depth of the teeth, so that is the addendum plus dedendum. So here is the clearance. So why this clearance is provided? So this is the clearance here. There is a fillet provided to give the strength to the tooth because of the stress concentration effect. If you don't provide the fillet over here, then there will be, if the change in the cross section abruptly, then there will be the possibility of stress concentration and the tooth may get break. So that's why what you do, you have to provide this fillet. So this is the clearance value. So top surface of the mating gear should not touch to the dedendum circle of that another gear. So there must be little clearance in between. Okay. So that is about some of the definitions. Then space width, tooth thickness, face width, top land. So here you can see this is the flank, this is the flank, this is the face, this is the face width, this is the top land. Okay, this is just we are revising it in short. You must have all the concepts clear to you so that you can solve the numerical. That's why. Otherwise, it is not expected to learn the definitions and all. Just समजून घ्या या गोष्टी सगळ्या conceptually. Okay. Then line of action is the common normal at the point of contact of mating gear. That is called as a line of action. So whatever the force exerted between the driving tooth and the driven tooth, so that force is exerted through the line of action. So when pinion is coming in contact with the gear, so it is exerting a force. The force is exerted by pinion on gear. So that force is exerted through line of action. So that is the application of force. In some of the examples, we need to find out the forces as well. Okay, so that also we will see to find out the forces acting on helical end gears and spur gear, types of the forces, tangential force, radial force, all that type of the examples. Okay, so but totally force power is transmitted because of the tangential force, Ft. That Ft is equal to the tangential force acting by the pinion on the gear, because power is transmitted from the pinion on the gear, and that is equal to T by R, torque upon radius, or you can say torque is equal to Ft into R, where R is the radius of the pinion. Okay, then the pressure angle, that is phi, that is the angle between the pressure line and common tangent to the pitch circle, which is called as a pressure angle. So there are generally 20 degrees and 25 degrees and 16 degrees. These pressure angles are used. These are the values of the standard pressure angles. Okay, then the point is path of contact. So what is the path of contact? So path of contact is path of approach plus path of recess. So what is path of approach? So the gears are meeting. So they are moving towards each other, then the pitch point is reached and then they are moving away from each other. So that is total path of contact. So it is divided into two steps, path of approach and path of recess. So when the gears are coming towards each other, that is path of contact, and then the pitch point is reached and then they are moving away from each other, that is the path of recess. And this total gives you the path of contact. So in numerical, they will ask you to find out the value of the path of contact, how much is the path of recess, what is the sliding velocity, what is the rolling velocity at these three different stages. So this total path divided into three portions, path of contact, pitch point and path of recess. So in path of approach and path of recess, there is perfectly sliding motion. Okay, there is a sliding motion there in between these. So there you have to calculate the sliding velocity. Then what is the sliding velocity at pitch point? Can you tell me? What will be the value of sliding velocity at pitch point?
मैम क्वेश्चन रिपीट करें.
Path of approach, during the path of approach and path of recess, the two portions of the gear are having sliding motion with respect to each other. They are having sliding. So there will be the sliding velocity and there will be the rolling velocity also, because the motion of the gears is a combination of sliding and rolling both. Right? Gears are rolling also on each other and there is a sliding in between their contact surfaces also. So the total path of contact is divided into three parts, path of approach, then pitch point and path of recess. जिथे path of approach संपतो आणि path of recess चालू होतो, at that point is called as the pitch point. So what is the value of sliding velocity at that pitch point?
Maximum.
Maximum. Anyone else? Have you got my question? गिअरची मोशन कशी असणार आहे? गिअर दोघं एकमेकांच्या कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये येणार, म्हणजे ते एकमेकांच्याकडे टुवर्ड्स मूव्ह होणार.
झिरो असणार मॅम, सॉरी.
हा, झिरो, एक्झॅक्टली. सो दिस कॅन बी क्वेश्चन आस्क्ड, व्हॉट इज द स्लाइडिंग वेलोसिटी at pitch point? So sliding velocity at pitch point will be equal to 0 because at that point there is no any surface to slide on. Okay, so at pitch point it is 0. And you can find out at path of approach separately and path of recess separately. Sliding velocities. Okay, then arc of contact is equal to path of contact upon cos phi. That is the arc of contact. So how to find path of contact? So you have to find path of approach separately, path of recess separately, and you have to add it. So here is the formulae to find out the path of approach and path of recess. See, these formulas you have to use while calculating path of approach and path of recess. Now what is this RA? So RA is the radius of gear. So it is capital RA. So capital R is the radius of gear plus addendum, that will give you RA. And small RA is radius of pinion plus addendum, that will give you small RA. So by using the relations and the given information, you can get these values. We will solve numerical as well. So you will know how to find out this small RA and capital RA. So when you got this path of approach and path of recess, you will get total path of contact. So that total path of contact upon cos phi will give you arc of contact. Okay, then angle of action. So what is this angle of action? So that is the angle turned by the gear from start of the engagement to the end of the engagement. Means how much angle is turned by the gear to have one teeth in contact completely. That is called as the angle of action. Okay, then what is the contact ratio? The contact ratio is arc of contact upon circular pitch. So what is the significance of contact ratio? So the value of contact ratio can tell you that how many number of gears are in contact at any time. Sorry, not gears. How many number of teeth are in contact at any time? Means if I say contact ratio is equal to 3, what does it mean? At any time interval, 3 teeth will be in contact with each other. Because totally all teeth will not be in contact with each other continuously. So when I say contact ratio is 4, 4 teeth are in contact with each other. Now if I say contact ratio is 2.8, can anyone tell me what is the meaning of contact ratio equal to 2.8? Yes, anyone knows? See, when I say contact ratio is equal to 3, it means 3 teeth are contact with each other at any time. If you see the gear pair, you can see that 3 teeth are in contact. So that gears are rotating. So contact teeth contact मध्ये आहे, continuously changes होत राहणार आहे gradually. पण at any time interval तुम्हाला असं दिसेल की 3 teeth contact मध्ये आहेत. That is the meaning of contact ratio equal to 3. So if contact ratio is equal to 2.8 fraction, 2.8. So what does it mean? Can anyone say?
नियरली 3च ना.
Huh?
नियरली 3च म्हणायचे.
Ha, so no. So it means that 2.8 चा अर्थ असा असतो की 2 teeth will be always in contact. At any time don't completely contact मध्ये असणार. And third teeth means 3 teeth will be in contact for 80% of the time duration. म्हणजे तुम्ही जेव्हा गिअर पेअर बघणार आहे, तुम्हाला असं दिसेल की 2 टीथ ऑलवेज कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये आहेत आणि तुम्हाला 3 टीथ कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये आहे. हे कधी दिसेल तर टोटल जो एक रिव्हॉल्युशन कंप्लीट करण्याचा जो टाइम पिरियड आहे, म्हणजे पूर्ण एक रिव्हॉल्युशन कंप्लीट करायला जेवढा टाइम लागतो गिअरला दोघांच्या, त्याच्या 80% टाइम मध्ये तुम्हाला असं दिसणार की 3 टीथ कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये आहेत आणि 20% तुम्हाला दिसणार की 2 टीथ कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये आहेत. कळलं? समजा मी म्हटलं की कॉन्टॅक्ट रेशो आहे 4.6, तर याचा अर्थ असा की ऑलवेज यू कॅन सी 4 टीथ आर इन कॉन्टॅक्ट. 4 नेहमीच दिसणार आहेत आणि 5 कधी दिसणार आहेत, म्हणजे 5 असतात तेव्हा 4 असतातच ऑफकोर्स. हा, सो 5 टीथ कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये असं कधी दिसेल तर टोटल टाइमच्या 60% टाइम मध्ये तुम्हाला असं दिसेल की 5 टीथ कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये आहेत आणि अदरवाइज तुम्हाला दिसेल की 4 टीथ कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये. हा झाला मीनिंग ऑफ कॉन्टॅक्ट रेशो 4.6. ओके. Then law of gearing. So this is the definition of law of gearing. So we did not require to go into the derivation of this. Just you should remember what is the law of gearing. So law of gearing states that angular velocity ratio of 2 gears, if you want it to be constant, then the common normal at the point of contact must pass through the pitch point. That is the law of gearing. Okay. सो आता काय आहे की हे लॉ ऑफ गिअरिंग हे 100% सॅटिस्फाय झालं पाहिजे. इफ यू वॉन्ट दॅट गिअर शुड ट्रान्समिट द पॉवर, तर नेसेसरी कंडिशन काय आहे, लॉ ऑफ गिअरिंग सॅटिस्फाय झालं पाहिजे. सो इफ यू शुड सिलेक्ट द टूथ प्रोफाइल सच दॅट लॉ ऑफ गिअरिंग शुड गेट सॅटिस्फाईड, तर लॉ ऑफ गिअरिंग सॅटिस्फाय होतो का नाही हे टूथ प्रोफाइलवर डिपेंड आहे, प्रोफाइलच्या शेपवर डिपेंड आहे. कारण लॉ ऑफ गिअरिंग काय आहे, कॉमन नॉर्मल मस्ट पास थ्रू द पिच पॉइंट. म्हणजे तुम्ही जे शेप सिलेक्ट करताय गिअर टूथचे, ते शेप असे पाहिजे की जेव्हा ते दोघं मीट होतील तर त्या दोघांनी एकमेकांना टॅन्जेन्शियलीच मीट झालं पाहिजे. इफ दे डू नॉट मीट टॅन्जेन्शियली तर काय होईल, द गिअर टूथ विल गेट लॉक विथ इच अदर. है ना, दोघंही एकमेकांना टॅन्जेन्शियली मीट झाले पाहिजे. Tangentially meet झाले नाही तर काय होईल की one gear will try to dig into the other, so they will lock each other and the power will not get transmitted. तर ते टॅन्जेन्शियली मीट व्हायला पाहिजे. म्हणजे याचा अर्थ काय की दोन्ही गिअर टूथ जेव्हा मीट होतात तर त्यांना एक कॉमन टॅन्जंट पाहिजे. म्हणजे लॉ ऑफ गिअरिंग सॅटिस्फाय होतोय का नाही, whether law of gearing is getting satisfied or not is totally depend upon the gear tooth profile. So you should select the gear tooth profile such that law of gearing is getting satisfied. So the gear tooth profile which satisfies law of gearing is called as conjugate gear tooth profile. Okay, the gear tooth profile which satisfies law of gearing is called as conjugate gear tooth profile. So what are the standard gear tooth profiles? Cycloidal tooth profile and involute tooth profile. These are the two standard gear tooth profiles. You can go for non-standard gear tooth profile also, but it will increase the cost of the gears. So usually we prefer standard gear tooth profiles. Okay, then the concept is of interference in the gears. So what is the meaning of interference in the gears? So if non-conjugate tooth profiles are mating, that phenomena is called as interference of the gears. So what is preferred, whether there should be interference or there should not be interference? Interference is advisable or not advisable?
Not
What do you
advised.
think? Not advisable, because if there is an interference, then one teeth will try to dig into the another teeth and power will not be transmitted. So what is the result of interference? Undercutting. Undercutting is the result of interference. So you have to avoid the interference. So to avoid the interference, either you can change the addendum circle radius or you can select the number of teeth to avoid the interference. So you have to learn this formula. Huh? You need to learn this formula, minimum number of teeth to avoid the interference. Now see what we do, we used to design the number of teeth on the gear. Okay, we used to design the number of teeth on the gear by using the formula of minimum number of teeth to avoid the interference. And once we got the number of teeth of the gear, with the help of that, we will find out the number of teeth on the pinion by dividing it by G. That is the gear ratio. So minimum number of teeth to avoid the interference in the gear, that you have to calculate by using this formula. सो आता इथे हे कॅल्क्युलेट करताना हे लक्षात घ्या, हे न्यूमेरिकल सॉल्व्ह करताना हे फॉर्म्युला तुमचा पाठ पाहिजे अँड प्लस हे लक्षात ठेवायचं, हा AW काय आहे, काय आहे हा AW?
Addendum.
सो इट इज अडेंडम कोइफिशियंट. आता अडेंडम कोइफिशियंट आणि अडेंडम मध्ये फरक काय? अडेंडम मीन्स द व्हॅल्यू ऑफ द अडेंडम. सो अडेंडम कसं डिफाईन करतात? अडेंडम इज डिफाईन्ड लाईक 3 टाइम्स ऑफ द मॉड्यूल, 1.2 टाइम्स ऑफ द मॉड्यूल, 1.5 टाइम्स ऑफ द मॉड्यूल. म्हणजे सपोज जर मॉड्यूल 6 mm and addendum is equal to 1 मॉड्यूल म्हटलं, क्वेश्चन मध्ये दिलेलं असतं addendum of the gear is equal to 1 मॉड्यूल, म्हणजे it is 1 times of the module. So if module is 6 mm, then addendum is 1 times of the module, म्हणजे 6 mm. Okay, if they say addendum is 1.5 times of the module and addendum is 6 mm, म्हणजे addendum किती असणार आहे? 9 mm. 6 च्या 1.5 टाइम्स म्हणजे 9 mm. हा, तर इथे AW म्हणजे अडेंडमची व्हॅल्यू नाहीये, अडेंडम कोइफिशियंट म्हणजे कुठला? तो 1.5, तो इथे सबस्टिट्यूट करायचा. कळालं? न्यूमेरिकल सॉल्व्ह करतानाच सांगते मी, हेच तुम्हाला आता लक्षात ठेवायचं. ऍक्च्युली हे की पॉइंट्स आहेत, हे फक्त तुम्हाला व्यवस्थित लक्षात ठेवायचे. इथे अडेंडम ऑफ गिअर सबस्टिट्यूट करायचा नाही. आय एम टेलिंग यू वेअर द पीपल गो रॉंग. हा फॉर्म्युला पाठ करता तुम्ही, पण इथे सबस्टिट्यूट करताना इथे अडेंडम सबस्टिट्यूट करता तुम्ही. इथे अडेंडम सबस्टिट्यूट करायचा नाही. यू आर नॉट सपोज टू सबस्टिट्यूट द अडेंडम. व्हॉट यू हॅव टू सबस्टिट्यूट इज अडेंडम कोइफिशियंट. म्हणजे काय? तर गिवन डेटा मध्ये तुम्हाला मेन्शन असणार आहे अडेंडम इक्वल टू 1.5 टाइम्स ऑफ द मॉड्यूल. तर इथे काय सबस्टिट्यूट करणार? त्या केसमध्ये If it is given, module is of 6 mm and addendum equal to 1.5 times of the module, तर इथे काय सबस्टिट्यूट करणार?
1.56.
1.5. कळलं? इथे 9 mm सबस्टिट्यूट करायचं नाही. So this is the formula to decide the number of teeth to avoid the interference. तर ह्याचं जे काही आन्सर येईल, so your teeth must be equal to or greater than this. म्हणजे t is equal to 14 आलं समजा, हे सगळं सॉल्व्ह करून. G is the gear ratio. हा G सबस्टिट्यूट करताना काय लक्षात ठेवायचं की त्यांनी वेलोसिटी रेशो दिली नाही तर गिअर रेशो दिली. It should be greater than 1. So G should be greater than 1. So after substituting all these values, you will get some value of the t. So समजा तुमचा t आला 14. Then you should go for selection of the number teeth equal to or more than 14. So teeth less than 14 is not allowed. If you select less than 14, then there will be interference. So you have to select the teeth more than 14. So if you get 13.6, तुम्ही काय राउंड अप करणार त्याला 13.6 ला?
14.
हां. आणि 13.2 आलं तर काय राउंड अप करणार?
13.
नाही. 13.2 आलं तरी 14च करायचं आणि 13.6 आलं तरी पण 14च करायचं. जो आपला राउंड अपचा रूल आहे की नाही, 0.5 च्या लेस असेल तर लोअर नंबरला आपण राउंड अप करतो आणि 0.5 च्या अबव असेल तर हायर नंबरला आपण राउंड अप करतो. तो रूल इथे ऍप्लिकेबल नाही. Because t is equal to 13.2, it means that number of teeth less than 13.2 is not allowed. If you select number of teeth less than 13.2, there will be interference. 13.2 आलं तरी 14च राउंड अप करायचंय त्याला आणि 13.9 आलं तरी 14च करायचंय. फाईन. आता अजून एक केस आहे याच्यामध्ये. यू हॅव टू राउंड. सी आता काय इथे होतं बघा, आय एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू व्हॉट हॅपन्स एक्झॅक्टली. आपण सॉल्व्ह करणार आहे प्रॉब्लेम तेव्हा पण ते क्लिअर होईल, पण लेट इट गेट फिक्स इन टू युअर माइंड की टी जो काही येईल त्याला आपण जी ने डिवाइड करणार अँड यू विल गेट स्मॉल टी. बिकॉज तुम्हाला नंबर ऑफ टीथ ऑन पिनियन पण करायचे, नंबर ऑफ टीथ ऑन गियर पण करायचे. यू हॅव टू फाइंड आउट नंबर ऑफ टीथ ऑन पिनियन अँड नंबर ऑफ टीथ ऑन गियर. सो तुम्ही काय करणार, इथे जो काही टी येईल त्याला डिवाइड बाय जी करताल तुम्ही, बरोबर. देन यू विल गेट स्मॉल टी. ठीक आहे. आता इथे कॅपिटल टी ची व्हॅल्यू आली 18.5. किती आली व्हॅल्यू? नाही 18.6 आली समजा. कॅपिटल टी ची व्हॅल्यू आली 18.6. तर तुम्ही त्याला काय राउंड अप करणार? 19, बरोबर. आता जी ची व्हॅल्यू आहे 2. जी ची व्हॅल्यू काय आहे? 2. मग स्मॉल टी किती येईल? कसा काढणार स्मॉल टी? तर तुम्ही जो काही कॅपिटल टी काढलाय डिवाइड बाय जी करणार, मग तुम्हाला स्मॉल टी मिळणार, बरोबर. आता 19/2 केलं तर स्मॉल टी तुमचा फ्रॅक्शन मध्ये येईल, बरोबर आहे ना. सो इज नंबर ऑफ टीथ अलाउड इन फ्रॅक्शन?
नो.
मग काय होईल आता तो 19/2 म्हणजे किती येणार आहे तुमचा? 9.5. सो 9.5 असू शकत नाही स्मॉल टी. सो यू नीड टू राउंड अप टू 10 आणि ते राउंड अप केलं की परत तुम्हाला हा इकडचा कॅपिटल टी चेंज करावं लागेल. सो इन्स्टेड ऑफ डुईंग दॅट, कीप 2 थिंग्स इन माइंड. पहिलं म्हणजे कॅपिटल टी राउंड अप करताना नेक्स्ट नंबरलाच करायचा, पण नेक्स्ट नंबर असा घ्यायचा की विच इज डिव्हिजिबल बाय जी. म्हणजे तुमचा आन्सर 18.3 आलं तर नेक्स्ट नंबर तुमचा 19 आहे, बट 19 इज नॉट डिव्हिजिबल बाय जी इफ जी इज इक्वल टू 2. सो 18.3 चा नंतरचा नेक्स्ट नंबर विच इज डिव्हिजिबल बाय जी, व्हॉट एव्हर इट इज, दॅट नंबर यू हॅव टू सिलेक्ट एज अ नंबर ऑफ टीथ. Is this point is clear with you all? If
Yes.
any confusion, I'll explain it again. Like for example, if G is equal to 3, G is equal to 3 alone. आणि कॅपिटल जी इज इक्वल टू 3 गिवन आहे आणि कॅपिटल टी ची व्हॅल्यू आली 16.4. हे सगळं सॉल्व्ह केलं तुम्ही आणि कॅपिटल टी इज 16.4. इफ यू गॉट कॅपिटल टी इज इक्वल टू 16.4. So what T you will select?
17.
18. 18.
18. 18. If you select 17, then that 17 will not be divisible by 3. G is equal to 3a and 17 is not divisible by 3. So you have to select the next number which is divisible by G always. तो असे तुम्हाला क्वेश्चन्स असणार आहेत गेटमध्ये जिथे तुम्ही चुकू शकताय. They will just say that find out the minimum number of teeth to avoid the interference. And you have to use this formula and you have to select the number of teeth to avoid the interference. So, but there you may go wrong while rounding off the number. I think this is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so always you have to use the formula of minimum number of teeth to avoid the interference on gear. गिअरचं काढायचं आणि त्याच्यावरनं पिनियनचं काढायचं. ठीक आहे. Then is the undercutting. So just now we have seen what is the undercutting. So the tooth profile, if it is not satisfying the law of gearing, and if there is an interference, then that gear will get locked and it will remove the material from the gear tooth, and that will weaken the tooth. So that is called as a undercutting. So you have to avoid the undercutting by avoiding the interference. Okay, so these are some this is some theoretical part of methods to avoid the interference. So this we have seen, either you have to modify the tooth profile or you have to modify the addendum values by finding out the number of teeth and by changing the center distance. So but while changing the center distance, there are certain limitations that location of the shaft is fixed. Input and output shaft is fixed. Okay. So this is little bit theory part. These are the formulas which you have to use for finding out path of approach and path of recess. So this is all about the background of spur gears. Okay, I think it is clear for the spur gears.
Yes, clear.
Yes. Then there are helical gears, spiral gears, bevel gears, and the numerical examples of this. So see, in case of helical gears, see all these concepts are same. All these formulas held good for spur gear, helical gear, spiral gear, and bevel gear, and all. Okay, with little bit modifications. Like for helical gears, there is a transverse module. Empty. Here there is only one module, that is the module. For helical gear, transverse module and normal module is there. Because teeth are at an axis inclined to the shaft. Okay, and accordingly the formulas will change. Means here M is equal to D by T for the spur gear, but in case of helical gear, it will be MT is equal to D by T. So I think we will solve some numerical examples on each type of the gears. So it will be more clear for you. Okay, so can we go for one example? Just quickly, we will go through the example. You do the calculations later on, and if you want, you can. We will check the answers in the next class. Our next class, we will check the answers. Okay, so we will solve an example. At least take down the example and you solve it later on. All the formulas are with you. You can solve it later on. Just take down this example. Means write down the given things. We will together write down the given things and I will share this PDF of the formula with you. And you just solve it today and for tomorrow's class or day after tomorrow's class, we will check your answers. Fine? Just we will write down the given things. We'll solve this example 12.13. So what is the example? Two gear wheels mesh externally and they have to give velocity. Now see here. Again, the same case is over here. They are having, they say, velocity ratio of 3 is to 1. So actually velocity ratio is reciprocal of gear ratio. But here what it is saying that if they say velocity ratio 3 is to 1, then what you will substitute for G? So again here they have substituted G is equal to 3 only. They don't take G is equal to 1 by 3. Right? So just write down the given things. It's not required to take down the complete question. Just take down the given things and try to solve it. So G is equal to, just write down the given. G is equal to 3. Okay. Then module is given 6 mm. Now here they are giving addendum equal to 1 module. So what is AW is 1. तो आपला जो फॉर्म्युला आहे त्याच्यात AW ची व्हॅल्यू 1 टाकायची. ठीक आहे 6 mm टाकायची नाही 1 टाकायची सबस्टिट्यूट करायची फॉर्म्युल्यामध्ये व्हॅल्यू. Okay, pressure angle is given 20 degree. Just take down the given data. Pinion rotates 90 rpm. So N1 is 90 rpm. From that you can get omega 1 equal to 2 pi n by 60. So you have to find out number of teeth on pinion to avoid the interference and number of teeth on wheel to avoid the interference. आता जसं आपण केलं तसं. दोन्ही फॉर्म्युले आहेत. I will share the document with you. Then you have to find out the length of path of contact and arc of contact. हे कसं काढायचं? So path of approach and path of recess. So you can see over here how you will solve the example. First we will find out the number of teeth on pinion and gear to avoid the interference by using that formula, this formula. T is equal to, this formula you will use. T is equal to 2AW times 1 plus 1 upon G into bracket 1 upon G plus 2 sin square 5 minus 1. G given आहे 3, AW given आहे 1. हे सॉल्व करणार, तुम्ही T ची व्हॅल्यू काढणार. ठीक आहे, T ची व्हॅल्यू काढली की स्मॉल T ची व्हॅल्यू काढणार. Then they are asking you to find out length of path of contact and arc of contact. So what is path of contact? So the formula for path of contact is this. Path of approach काढायचा सेपरेटली, path of recess काढायचा सेपरेटली. Now R कसा काढणार? T आहे तुमच्याकडे. R कसा काढणार तुम्ही? How you will get R? To find out path of contact and you need to find path of approach and path of recess. How you will get R? R कसा काढताल?
मॉड्यूलच्या फॉर्म्युला.
सो M इक्वल टू D बाय T वरनं तुम्हाला M दिलेला आहे, T दिलेला, त्याच्यावरनं R निघेल. स्मॉल R निघेल, कॅपिटल R निघेल. नंतर RA कसा काढणार? अडेंडम इक्वल टू 6 मॉड्यूल दिले. सो रेडियस प्लस अडेंडम इज इक्वल टू RA. सो कॅपिटल RA निघेल, स्मॉल RA निघेल. Okay, just note down the steps. Capital RA येईल, small RA येईल. So once you got this path of approach and path of recess, it will give you path of contact. देन पाथ ऑफ कॉन्टॅक्ट वरनं काय करायचं, आर्क ऑफ कॉन्टॅक्ट. So arc of contact is equal to path of contact upon cos phi. That will give you arc of contact. And then you have to find out number of pair of teeth in contact. म्हणजे काय, number of pair of teeth in contact म्हणजे काय, contact ratio. So here it is, see, contact ratio is length of contact, arc of contact upon circular pitch. What is circular pitch? Circular pitch is equal to pi into m. Okay, and then you have to find out the velocity of sliding. How to find out the velocity of sliding? So here you can see velocity of sliding is omega 1 plus omega 2 into path of contact. Okay, आता इथे त्यांनी सांगितले फाइंड आउट मॅक्सिमम वेलोसिटी ऑफ स्लाइडिंग. सो मॅक्स ऍक्च्युली हे काय, दोन्ही वेलोसिटी ऑफ स्लाइडिंग वेगळे वेगळे असणार आहेत. पाथ ऑफ अप्रोचला वेलोसिटी ऑफ स्लाइडिंग वेगळी असणार आहे, पाथ ऑफ डिस्टन्सला वेलोसिटी ऑफ स्लाइडिंग वेगळी असणार आहे. ओमेगा 1 प्लस ओमेगा 2 सेम येणार दोघांचं, पण पाथ ऑफ अप्रोचला वेगळी येणार आहे, पाथ ऑफ रिसेसला वेगळी येणार आहे. तर सो ओमेगा 1 प्लस ओमेगा 2 कॉन्स्टंट आहे. सो इफ पाथ ऑफ अप्रोच इज मोर देन पाथ ऑफ रिसेस, then velocity of sliding is maximum in path of approach. So you have to compare, you have to check path of approach मोठा आहे का path of recess मोठा आहे, हे तुम्हाला चेक करावं लागेल. And the velocity value whose will be more, whose value of path of approach or path of recess दोघांपैकी जो कोणी जास्त आहे, that velocity will be maximum. Got it? How to solve it? Just take down this given data. Take down this given data and I will share this list of the formulas with you. Take it down. I'll just give you 2 minutes, or else just as a screenshot काढा किंवा हे given data फक्त लिहून घ्या आणि काय काय find out करायचं ते लिहून घ्या. This is a homework for you people. Just take down this. Till that, I'll just give you the link for the attendance. So in this link, you have to give your attendance. Okay, I think this is fine. These two documents, this I'll share with you. If you want, I'll share this PDF also with you. So you can check your answers with this. हे दोन्ही गोष्टी मी शेअर करते तुम्हाला. तुम्ही चेक करताल आणि ह्याच्यामध्ये जर काही प्रॉब्लेम असेल तर मग मला सांगा. Will you solve it? Will you solve this? Then for the next lecture, we will solve some examples of helical and spiral gear, and also we will move to the gear trains. That example number is 12.13. I will share you this PDF with you. 12.13. If you want, note down that so that you can solve some examples for practice in evening. Okay, now let me know if you have any doubt. काही डाऊट आहे कुणाला? आतापर्यंतची गिअरची आपण थेरी पाहिली त्याच्यावर.
नाही का?
हा, सॉल्व करून बघताल एक्झाम्पल्स. जस्ट सॉल्व द एक्झाम्पल and then we will discuss it in the next class regarding if you have any doubt. Okay?
ओके.
Yeah, so we will stop it for today. For the next session, we have to go for gear trains. And then we will solve some examples of gear train and some of the example of spur gear and spiral gears also. Okay? So fill up that attendance form and we will stop it because you have the next session of fluid mechanics as well. Okay? So fine then, we'll stop it here. Good day.